The Supreme Court of Canada has handed down a ruling in a case involving employment insurance and the federal government. The unions have gone to court to say the Liberal government of the 1990s should not have diverted billions of dollars of EI contributions to help reduce the federal deficit. They want the money transferred back. CTV's Graham Richardson was at the court for the ruling. What'd they say, Graham?
Well, it's just not that clean cut, Dan. That's the Supreme Court of Canada. You've summarized the case well, but here's essentially what they say. They say that for 3 years, 2002, 2003, 2005, the federal government unconstitutionally collected EI premiums, meaning that they did not have the lawful authority to do so. So it would seem that the union arguments have won the day. In fact, the union arguments that 96 to 2001, they collected this massive surplus and they used the money for other purposes. The court actually says they are okay to do that. What happened was, in those years after that, they essentially tried to correct the system, and they did it in a wrong way. They went to Cabinet and they set the premium themselves in Cabinet. The court says that essentially made it a payroll tax. It didn't do the right thing, which would have been to delegate the authority to do it properly, which had been done for many, many years. So the bottom line is, for 3 years, billions of dollars worth of EI premiums were collected essentially against the law, illegally, unconstitutionally. The court gives the government 12 months to figure out what to do about this and is silent on a remedy, like how to fix this, largely because they want to throw it back to the legislature and say, you guys figure it out. But essentially, it's an awful lot of money, but the court certainly doesn't say millions of Canadians can expect refunds of their EI premiums and millions of employers can expect refunds because, well, they essentially just don't say that.
Yeah, before I ask you about what we do about this, if I can just review what said, what happened in those 3 years, in those 3 bad years, the rates were set directly by Cabinet, and Cabinet was supposed to get the authorization of the Parliament, and that violated the principle of no taxation without representation. Is that correct?
Fair enough. Yes, and not to be really detailed on this, but Cabinet could have done that if they clearly said, here is what we're going to do and here is why. They had to be clear about that because it basically changed the rules. It turned it from a premium to a tax without telling people why or what they were doing. So for those 3 years, they acted outside the Constitution.
Now, organized labor also accused the Liberals of deliberately running up these surpluses in the EI fund and then diverting that money to balance the federal budget. I take it the court didn't buy that.
Well, the court didn't buy that, and the court said, in fact, they essentially said the government is within its rights to do that, to use that money as it sees fits to a point. The court also said that it understood that, I mean, the surpluses were growing, Dan, at an extraordinary rate, and government did try to do something about that, and the irony here is that their actions in Cabinet in those 3 bad years were essentially, the court says, designed to bring those surpluses down to fix the problem. But you're right, the court says that it's within the government's right to do what it did with those surpluses, so it's not saying you got to go back all those years and give all that money back, but there were serious wrongs here. Mm-hmm. It's almost as if it's in the sort of a technicality in the way they did it, and perhaps that's why they're silent on it, but the court is giving government 12 months to do something about this.
Yeah, now what's your expectation of what the government will do?
Whoa. Well, they could do a number of things.
Well, especially in the context of where we are now, with 70,000 jobs lost in November, we're told a lot more are going to be lost next year.
I think the era of surpluses in EI is sort of going to go away. So, I mean, obviously they don't have a lot of room. I don't think government can ignore a Supreme Court of Canada saying essentially laws were broken for 3 years, Cabinet didn't do the right thing. I think they're going to have to do something. They could do any number of things. They could just go back and change the law and say, okay, we understand this. We've now changed that act that we did, and we will not do that again. It could be as simple as that. But given the amount of money involved and given how complicated this is, I don't think the solution is going to be that simple.
All right. Graham, thanks for helping us understand this.
Yeah, and one more thing, Dan, I hope I did. Karl-Heinz Schreiber lost again at the Supreme Court of Canada.
Oh.
It was dismissed, and I should mention that in passing.
Okay.
And there may be another one coming. We're not sure.
Does that mean he gets extradited?
If he doesn't appeal, yes, but apparently he may be heading for another appeal, and apparently this was his fourth.
Wow. Okay, thanks, Graham Richardson. Thank you, sir.